And then before also we start going through the questions, I added this because we've been I don't know if an NDA will even be sent out. We've been having a lot of troubles getting an agreement sorted that works with the one that Tufts wants to send out. So I added an item in here where we can brainstorm different ways for you to recruit participants and give you some like last resorts, which would literally be reaching out to our GitLab team members that would be open to doing these tests with you. But maybe we should just leave that for last because you'll still want to have your research plan put together and a screener regardless. So if you wanna, we can just start with the Qualtrics survey and then the other stuff that you were just saying. Are we able to see the Qualtrics survey by chance?
I can screen share, so I just edited it yet, and I didn't really publish it, but we're still like working on it, and once we finalize all the questions, then we can publish it. So if you can let me screen share my screen. Oh, actually I can. Okay. So I think we just start off with like basic questions like what's your age, what's your job title, what industry you work in. And then we want to ask like how big is your company, as well as like what team are you a part of the like work, such as like product design, machine learning, data, whatever. And then how big is the team you're a part of? Yeah, I think that's like the key questions or information we want to get from the users. And then in the interview, you can dig into more details. But yeah, wondering like if there's anything that we're missing or should be edited in terms of wording.
We have, actually a quick question is that what were you hoping to get out of the age? Like, how would that help you analyze or look at your results?
Yeah, I think in terms of age, I guess the younger age are more like tech savvy, so it might be easier for them to like navigate through technology or like specific parts of GitLab. But maybe for like, let's say older employers, they might have like a more difficult time, but then that's just like a
Yeah.
assumption.
Yeah, okay, then that makes sense. We have some questions that we use
Mm,
specifically for like job title and how big is your company if you wanted to revise the choices there just based on that. At least that we know that the ones that we use work for GitLab users when we
mm.
run research. So it might be helpful and I can send you screenshots of what that looks like.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
we did create a screener, but we just weren't able to run it yet, obviously, because we didn't have the NDA in place.
Right.
So I'm gonna share those questions with you.
Mm,
Um, the other thing that we usually add as well is in the beginning, we give them kind of like an overview of what I think I can actually share this because do you mind if I share
yeah,
my
yeah.
screen? Okay. And then once we're off the call, I will send it. So this is what we usually use
Oh, I
Qualtrics,
see.
and then
Right.
we do this paragraph. Obviously, the ones that you'll be running will not be compensated, but we just give like an overview of how long the interview will be and then how much you would receive. And then we gave like a short summary of what, um, it's being conducted by you guys and
Yeah.
working with GitLab team members, etc. I will send you all of these options, but this is our full list of job titles that we see
Mm.
when we're talking to users. And then you can, and then once they fill out the survey, you could look to make sure that you're talking to team leads or project manager, product manager, whoever. This is the sizes that we usually use for people working at the company.
Right.
And then team.
Mm-hmm.
This, we usually sneak a question in about tasks because
Mm-hmm.
depending on the size of company that you're going to be talking to a member from, they might perform many job titles. Like if it's a startup, for example, and there's only like 5 people at the company, they could be wearing many hats. So as
Right.
long as they check off the tasks that you're looking for, I think that'd be great. We can talk about which ones would fit, but like planning feature development would be an example of one.
Mm.
And then we also had this question about tools because I knew that you wanted to see what other tools they've used for planning. So you could see if they check off Jira or Trello or whatever.
Right.
And
Gina,
then, yeah.
just a quick question. So I'm curious if Q15 is, it looks like a single answer question. Is it on purpose
Oh,
with
it
the
shouldn't
radio
be.
buttons?
No, it's not on purpose.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Um, allow multiple. There we go. Okay. Yeah. And then issue boards is
Yeah.
just another one. For learning experience, I guess in the future, a lot of companies will have their own research, like participation type of series you can opt into as a user. So anytime we're running GitLab research, they'll be on a list that we send emails to. Same, I think a lot of companies do this, but we just ask for their consent for recording, and then
Right.
also if they want to participate in this in the future.
Okay. Yeah.
So I can, like I said, send you screenshots. I don't think I can add you to that survey, but if I can, I will.
Yeah. If not, I think screenshots would be very helpful.
Okay. Want to look at your user interview document?
Yeah, I can share my screen. So this is a kind of a modification of what we had before. I think some of the issues of our past user interview document was that there were just simply too many questions. And so this one, the hope of it is to kind of write a script and also to cut down the amount of questions that we have for the session. And so this is based on what Gina did for one of your user research projects. So here we just wrote down the goals. So like first one is understand how PMs use issue boards, and then also identify patterns and usability pain points to tackle. There's also a sub goal to see if there are any opportunities for AI to automate some of the more tedious tasks or repetitive things that they're doing. And here we wrote down, yeah, just like a moderated script. I think one question that I had was if we were to talk to different types of PMs in the sense of like their experience level with GitLab issue boards, should we create 2 separate documents? Because I would, I guess, imagine the questions will be a little bit different. Like, for example, if we're asking a PM who has used Jira before but never GitLab issue boards, um, maybe the questions will be different in that case. But yeah, that was one question I had.
Yeah. Well, I guess that depends on which participants you wanna speak to. Do you wanna just speak to the ones who have used GitLab issue boards before, or do you wanna speak to ones who haven't as well?
Um, I feel like my gut feeling right now is just because we're utilizing guerrilla like methods to find people. I think it might be good to talk to who may not have used GitLab issue boards before, but have used other types of boards before. But yeah, another way is that we can just look for PMs who have used GitLab's issue board before and then just use this document. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But,
think one
yeah.
thing you should think about if you talk to people who have not used issue boards before is that you might end up getting more feedback on like their first use of issue boards. So the feedback that you get might actually be more around like onboarding the user
Mm.
to issue boards because they haven't used it before and they're trying to get familiar with migrating over from a different tool. Which to me, the goal of your study, you wouldn't be able to reach that goal because you'd kind of be concentrating more on the migration. But I mean, like you said, if you do guerrilla testing, it might be harder to find those people who use them.
Mm.
And it's
Yeah, I
always
think-
okay. It's okay
Oh, yeah,
to
sorry.
pivot the goals after if you need to, like if you can't find the right participants. I would suggest going with just people who use GitLab boards, and if you can't find them, then we could switch the goal of the research.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Then yeah, so with that direction, I think here we have like around like 7 to 8 questions. Mostly just around like general use of how they currently use issue boards. And then there are some questions more specifically about workflow. So like how they plan a sprint and then how they track status for a task and also their teammates. And then also just a closing question of what's one more thing you'll want to add about issue boards and then also a closing script for that. I guess, yeah, first glance of these questions, yeah, what do you guys think? Is there anything that we should change or questions that we should take out or rephrase?
I think the length looks very good. Marcin, do you have any feedback on the specific questions or any like wording of them?
No, not at the moment. At first, I heard you said you have 70 questions. I was like, well, that's that's too many. But yeah, um, yeah, some you might think in some of the questions about terminology. So, for example, people not familiar with GitLab. Or did you say you were looking for people who already use GitLab? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be
Okay.
the direction to look for PMs who
Okay.
have used issue board.
And never mind. No, it looks
Yeah.
pretty good to me.
Yep, I agree.
Awesome.
I think this is great.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember last week you also talked about potentially exploring some like AI features. So I'm wondering like how we should ask them in their interview and whether like the way we're asking them right now is effective.
Yeah, I saw you have a question about asking if there's any tasks that are repetitive for them. I think that's a great way to just surface where AI could be used. If you go, like, let's say you have extra time in the session, which I doubt will happen, but if you do, you could always follow up on those tasks that they say are repetitive and ask about how they feel, how comfortable they feel or would feel with AI features to complete those tasks for them. That's a good way to gauge like if they would even trust AI in the process.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Awesome. Then yeah, we'll use this document as kind of the guidelines for the interview, and then let's see for the Qualtrics. And I saw you guys wrote down some different ways to find the target population.
Yes,
Yes.
so Chad has a lot of experience with using guerrilla research, and he brought up this point that like even though we're not able to recruit participants for you, you can try to find them yourself. There's that Reddit community that you can always reach out to. Chad recommended that you could use Google Forms, but I had figured that you guys had experience using Qualtrics, because I remember we used to use that when I was there as well. So totally fine to use Qualtrics. And my struggle is that I want to make sure that you find the right target population. So if you find that the places that you're posting that they're not getting enough traction, just reach out, and at the very least, we could ask if people at GitLab would be willing to speak with you, purely because I know that we use GitLab. We use GitLab differently than our customers, but I want to make sure that you have experience in like running research and getting feedback. And the caveat in those results, I guess, would just be that saying like, this was only with internal GitLab team members, just so that people understand it's not applicable to all customers. But like I said, last resort, if you can't find people. Other notes here also, you already have a Calendly set up. So that's good. And then emails, we usually send, I'm not sure how this is going to work with like Reddit and LinkedIn or Twitter, but I'm assuming you'll actually get direct names of the people that want to participate in the research. So you might not need like a mass email to be sent out. Although you could just write up an email like, thanks for participating in our user research. Can you link to the Calendly and just have them pick a time that they're available? That's kind of what Chad was saying at the end here, write your emails in advance. And then a thank you or a follow-up email is always good to send after. Yeah. Did you have any questions on the stuff that we had listed there?
I think not specific questions, but I guess we'll see. Just a thought about like maybe we should draft different messages for different platforms. Because I guess email won't be the only way of outreach. Like we'll also post on Reddit, LinkedIn, or even just like friends or colleagues that you know that may use GitLab. So yeah, we'll probably draft different things for these different methods.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then if anything changes on our side, if we're able to somehow get you participants using our recruiting, I'll let you know. But yeah, just in sake of time, I don't want to block you, so let's try this first. You know what? I also wanted to look at, I don't know if you remember last time I talked about this process that we use at GitLab called UX scorecards. And it's something that we as product designers carry out ourselves to identify pain points within a workflow. And we use UX heuristics, which you guys have learned about right through your, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but we do have a link to what those are. I think if you need to run, like if you feel like you want something in addition to the interviews that you run, you could always just run your own UX scorecard and point out heuristics that you feel like are not followed like properly in the workflow. And then that could be another source of research in a way to back up the steps that you take to improve the boards. Also, you get more experience running one of these. That's a really good and quick way once you're in like working full time in your jobs. That's a quick way to identify where to make improvements. So it could be cool if you have time.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I definitely have to look into it. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't had the chance to read the document, but I'll read it after.
Wait, so sorry, a question about the method you just talked about. Is it to like kind of evaluate different functionalities on our own without like, I guess, the need of users?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So you would do it yourself. There's I'll share my screen real quick. So there's this list of UX heuristics here. They all have a definition, but what you do is go through a workflow of using the issue boards. Let's just say like you were trying to plan a sprint. I guess you would give yourself a scenario and then use different features in the issue board to create that and, get to complete the scenario yourself.
Mhm.
And you score each one of these as you go along. And then areas that you're seeing like low scores in or pain points or whatever, those would be the opportunities that you would take to improve the feature. So then you could like design to improve whatever you saw.
Do you recommend that we conduct heuristic evaluation and interview, I guess, two parallel lines, or do you recommend that we first interview some people and then if we cannot find any like insights, then we start heuristic evaluation?
Yes, the second way that you put it. So if you
Okay.
can't find people, I would do this.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've added a link to a YouTube video of a product designer running through like their scorecard results. If you search for GitLab UX scorecard, there you could find some more. I haven't seen one for boards though, so. And if there's nothing else, my last point was an FYI. I don't know if you've seen it in the Slack channel. Chad posted a long message with async responses to some of your questions from the last meeting. So do check it out. I saw that he also like talks about the AI features. So I know you were interested in that.
Well, I do have a question regarding AI because I know that GitLab already has this AI feature called Duo, and it's kind of like a conversational AI model, kind of like you just like typing questions and it would reply you. So I'm wondering like if we think that there are some repetitive tasks that can be done by AI, should we kind of think about the AI model in Duo as in like similar version, or like we implement more, we implement like additional features into Duo, or should we think about like another AI model that fits better with, repetitive tasks? I guess my question is whether GitLab wants just like one Duo that has multiple functions, or maybe like two AI Duo and something else.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we're still working through that as a company.
Yeah. Well, that's also like a product / branding question, right? I
Right.
think
Yeah.
the way the company talks about, like the way the AI people in the company, the managers and so on, talk about these features, I think all the AI features will be called GitLab Duo, and then it's just going to be features under that. So it's just to, I guess, to have, a not a character, but you know what I mean, like a brand.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess when you are looking at how to incorporate AI, whether it's conversational or it's something like a button, I don't know, whatever it happens to be, you don't need to have it fit within the conversational pattern. We have other features in GitLab, like for a merge request, for example, we summarize what the merge request does using AI, and that's considered like Martin said, like that's considered under our GitLab Duo,
Mhm.
but it's a different feature. It's not conversational. I guess
Okay.
it kind of, yeah, well, no, you can't talk back to it. So yeah.
So basically you just like tell it to summarize and it just like summarize for you.
But the user isn't asking for it to summarize the MR. We're just summarizing for them.
Oh, okay, I see, I see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have more flexibility. You don't have to have it fit into this conversational type of feature. It could
Mhm.
be something that
Okay.
you produce. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
I had a question on like drafting the messages for research for these various platforms. How would you recommend changing the tone for something like LinkedIn compared to what we wrote for Reddit?
I don't think Reddit takes emoji, and I don't think LinkedIn needs emoji. I don't know.
I unfortunately don't have any experience doing that. I've actually only posted one on LinkedIn. I could share you, I could share the message that I posted for that, but it was for a real estate company. Maybe we should ask this question to Chad in Slack because he has more experience doing it, and just see how he's handled it in the past as well.
So who's gonna do it?
Allison, do you want to post it in Slack?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Well, I have another question kind of like related to AI or like implementation. Because I know there must be like restraints or limitations in terms of like technology or implementation. So I'm wondering if there's like a framework, or I guess a structure, or like limitations we should be thinking about when we're like brainstorming about like AI features.
Yes, another thing that our company is working on right now is that framework, but I will give you a link, of course, about what are things that you should consider as like guidelines while you're
Mm.
thinking about features, AI features. So yeah, this. I added it to the end of our agenda. I kind of lost them. There's things that you should consider, like risk, when to automate, start putting it, giving the user control, I guess, in a way, and a number of other things. I think this is a really good page to
Okay.
look at.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sorry, I had a question comment, like a meta thing about the agenda. Because again, I was typing at the bottom what we were talking about, and I saw it's also added above. So just, it might also be, you know, me being used to the way we do it at GitLab, but can we do the agenda like top to bottom? So like if we have stuff added before the meeting, you know, we go through it, and then if we add something, we talk about something which is added as we go, because this way, like I don't know where we are, so I can't contribute to taking notes, or I do it and it's doubled. If you don't mind. Thanks.
Yeah, that's way bad. I can change the focus stuff to the bottom. Yeah, it was more just a summary of some of the stuff that we talked about. Let me move that.
No worries. I mean, or you can keep it there, whatever. Thanks.
I am interested, if you don't have any more questions, to hear about what you feel like you've succeeded on through this project thus far.
I can start. I guess creating the necessary documents for, or at least most of them are still in progress, but I feel like we're seeing the end of it, like we're almost done with finalizing them, and then I feel like this week we can start actually reaching out to people and set up these interviews. So I guess, yeah, for me, the work that's leading up to it, I feel like it's been good. I think it's definitely a bummer that we won't be able to access the users from GitLab, but I think it's also good that we're like adjusting based on the situation. And yeah, thanks to yeah, everybody, and also especially the GitLab team of like finding ways to just like recruit people outside of the system is good.
I think we did a good job doing like establishing foundations in terms of like research as well as like preparation works for, you know, future user research. And I think that I really like the GitLab handbook. It has lots of information and makes me definitely more sorry, my throat is not great today. So I mean like more used to looking at GitLab's features as well, just like navigating through GitLab. And I think also like we as a team, I think we work pretty well together. Like we have a very organized notion, and also just like everything resource is organized in a way that's easy to navigate. And then now we just have to actually find users and conduct the research.
Yeah, building off of what Guo and Ramona already said, I'm pretty happy with how we were able to scope down on the research questions, since we did start with the 70 something. So it's come a long way since, and definitely a lot more cleaner. And I think in the process, it's also given us a greater understanding on what we're looking for in terms of the project scope. And that's something I'm also very happy with, is the fact that we were able to get more clarity on the direction of the problems we want to go with. And throughout the project, we also definitely came a long way with GitLab's features. I know at the beginning, a lot of us were not really familiar with the issue board, but now I think after reading the handbook and also past research, we feel like we have a greater understanding of the users that are on the issue board, but also how it works from a customer point of view as well.
Yeah, I would agree with Allison said. I think it's really great to learn more about how the GitLab design process works and how research works at GitLab, because I didn't know that we can, use like different metrics to measure like the usability testing results, different benchmarking methods, and like the scoreboard methods. So I thought that's really good to know.
Yeah, thank you. Everyone already covered everything, but I think just like since we were spending a lot of like time trying to like do user research as like thoroughly as possible, I feel like that's really important because I feel like it sets like a really good standard for like design moving on and just like not jumping straight into it. So I feel like yeah, that we're doing a good job in that.
Good. Happy to hear that. And I hope that we can continue to answer the things that you all brought up in the beginning that you wanted to get out of this project. And like we said earlier on, I think Amy had brought this on in the beginning, that if you feel like you aren't getting what you wanted to get out of this project, then let us know and we can make sure that we pick up in those areas. All right, any other topics? No?
So I think for next week, we're just gonna start recruiting people, and then in terms of like AI, we probably can dig deeper into how different forms of AI can solve the repetitive task problem. And I think that's gonna be our goal. And then we're gonna finalize our Qualtrics and also interview questions.
That's a good reminder. I'm going to send you the screenshots of Qualtrics that I
Yeah,
had
thank
as
you.
well. Mhm. All right. See you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.